Prime Minister then joined Trump at a rally aboard the USS Washington, where she got to hear him just rambling to our troops on a range of subjects, including magnets. He hates magnets. He hates magnets, windmills, and sharks. But he loves steam.
I want to know, catapults, which is better, the electric or the steam? They had steam, which works so beautifully. Steam, they said they can fix it with a hammer and a blowtorch. I love the sight of that beautiful steam pour.
Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale, even a 5-year-old.
Two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not.
America under Trump has hit its peak absurdity arc, the kind where the plot twists feel written by a team begging for a reboot. Somehow, J.D. Vance went from Rust Belt memoirist to Trump's most loyal hype man, smiling through chaos like he's stuck in the world's worst buddy comedy. The transformation is so wild it borders on satire. Then Jimmy Kimmel stepped in, not just roasting them, but dismantling the duo with surgical precision, like a man who's been suppressing laughter for 8 long years and finally let it explode in one glorious, perfectly timed comedic detonation.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Ankles was back home at the White House tonight, handing out candy to children. One of the kids was dressed as, you can see him here on the right side, as a light-up marshmallow. And watch this, because this is something Trump has done in the past. Instead of putting candy in the bag, he puts it on. J.D. Vance is crushing it when it comes to policy.
How will we lower the cost of daycare? It's such an important question, Charlie. And I think one of the things that we can do is make it easier for family models to choose, or for families to choose whatever model they want, right? So one of the ways that you might be able to relieve a little bit of pressure on people who are paying so much for daycare is make it so that maybe like grandma or grandpa wants to help out a little bit more.
Jimmy Kimmel hilarious reaction on J.D. Vance's daycare solution. His plan to lower costs is to guilt-trip grandma into free labor.
Kimmel didn't need a monologue. He needed a mop. Trump's marathon of nonsense spilled faster than campaign slogans could be printed. This isn't a partnership. It's a blooper reel on repeat. Trump rants, Vance nods, and America collectively cringes. Somewhere in the distance, a weary bald eagle quietly files for asylum.
And when we run out of steam, we're going to oxen, big teams of beautiful oxen. He loves steam. And then he closed things out as only Donald Trump can.
J.D. Vance has turned into the human version of a campaign bumper sticker left on too long, faded, peeling, and strangely proud to be stuck to something sliding downhill. His loyalty to Trump isn't political strategy. It's pure devotion. He seems to believe that standing beside chaos will make him look like order. But instead of rising, he's sinking, smiling all the way down like a Titanic passenger, insisting it's just a luxury cruise.
I have some good news for you, J-Dog. We're back on all the stations. And every home, every bar, every strip club, and every prison in America. But, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your bullshit. Go on.
There's something else that's important here, Laura, which is that these broadcast companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they enjoy the public airwaves because...
Kimmel caught it instantly. He didn't just notice the hypocrisy, he showcased it like a late-night infomercial. In Trump's orbit, integrity is always the first casualty, quickly followed by coherence. J.D. Vance's evolution from critic to cheerleader wasn't transformation. It was an exorcism of self-respect. He traded spine for spotlight, conviction for convenience, and now basks in applause from a crowd that cheers for anything wrapped in a red tie. No matter how hollow the performance has become.
He used to send the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders on these USO tours, and now we have this. Meanwhile, while Trump's slurping noodles in Japan were on day 28 of his big, beautiful government shutdown, air traffic controllers missed their first paycheck today. So if you are visiting us from out of town, you live here now.
Trump, meanwhile, is back to doing what he does best, performing the presidency like a community theater production. Every appearance is a spectacle, every speech a one-man show no one requested. The twist now is J.D. Vance as his offbeat hype man, clapping out of rhythm and echoing the chorus long after the music dies. It's politics as bad karaoke. The mic never cuts, the lights never dim, and the audience can't find the exit fast enough.
If you go to a Jimmy Kimmel live viewing, you have to really be a humorless scold.
Did you hear what he just called you? He called you humorless scolds. What is wrong with you people? You trying to make JD's mascara run? What's going? A humorless scold. Who talketh like that?
Kimmel's takedown wasn't just funny, it was forensic. He dissected the illusion that Trump's chaos has purpose and that J.D. Vance's devotion has depth. He reminded everyone that the only consistent thing about this movement is its inconsistency. One day it's law and order, the next it's whatever boosts the polls. The Trump-Vance duo isn't leadership. It's an open mic night that never ends, staged at democracy's expense. Every time JD tries to sound profound, it's like watching a student bluff through a book report he didn't read. The metaphors collapse, the moral disappears, and somehow Trump still gets top billing. Kimmel exposed that irony with such surgical precision, you could feel a nation's collective groan, exhausted from pretending this circus is governance. Because that's what it's become. A circus without animals, just clowns wrestling for the spotlight. JD's role? He's the one following behind the elephant, broom in hand, calling it public service. His political brand rests entirely on agreeing louder than anyone else. Trump declares the sky is green. JD nods like it's gospel. Trump fumbles a fact. JD calls it strategy. His loyalty is so extreme it borders on performance art. Except no one's laughing. No one, that is, except Kimmel, who's made it his quiet mission. To prove satire still shows up to work. Harder than half the cabinet.
Things were a little bit different this year because of the construction that's going on at the White House. They had to improvise a bit. They had to move around, and, they want to get that ballroom finished, so they just went right ahead with the demolition while the trick-or-treating was happening. The kids had fun, though. The Department of Agriculture was there, and kids love that. Handing out mini pumpkins, and the U.S. Postal Service was there with a Be Best postcard station. They gave the children Be Best postcards. I didn't know Be
The funny part is that J.D. Vance once styled himself as the rational Republican, the bridge between populism and sanity. Now he's burning that bridge and roasting marshmallows over the ashes. Trump doesn't just attract loyalty. He consumes it, digests it, and spits it back as applause. Kimmel saw through it immediately. Not a movement, but a codependent spectacle of self-preservation. Every Trump rally plays like a masterclass in emotional chaos management. The promises are recycled, the outrage rehearsed, the slogans stale enough to come with expiration dates. Meanwhile, JD stands there grinning like a man convinced he's part of history, unaware it's the kind of chapter future textbooks will politely skip. Kimmel didn't need exaggeration, just accuracy. And in Trump's America, accuracy already feels like parody. Trump keeps rebranding every disaster as destiny, every scandal as persecution, every blunder as a secret master plan. JD calls it resilience. Kimmel calls it what it is. Damage control wrapped in denial, dipped in delusion. Trump spins chaos like cotton candy. And there's JD smiling dutifully, holding the stick, pretending it's leadership instead of the sticky mess it's always been.
Just crack open a Bud Light and relax already. Even the vice president took a break from humping his ottoman to complain about not just me, you.
On Jimmy Kimmel's television program and on The Daily Show this week, you have audiences outright cheering, seeing the images of Teslas on fire across the country. And I saw that and I thought, man, that really is a sign of how much the left has conditioned people to think that that's acceptable.
Yeah, though I will say in defense of the American people, Jimmy Kimmel's show is so unfunny and boring and left-wing.
Watching Trump and JD. Vance campaign together is like watching a magician and his assistant argue over who gets credit for the rabbit. Trump performs the illusion. JD claps first. It's not policy. It's performance art, soundtracked by applause, confusion, and the faint hum of disbelief. The beauty of Kimmel's roast is that he doesn't even need to write jokes anymore. The headlines do the heavy lifting. His humor works because it doesn't punch down. It punches diagonally. slicing straight through the nonsense. Trump's America has turned governing into branding, and JD plays along like an unpaid intern mistaking chaos for mentorship. It's a sequel no one asked for to the reality show nobody finished. Kimmel's brilliance lies in how he exposes it, not with bitterness, but with that slow, knowing smirk that says, you can't parody what's already self-parody. While Trump rewrites history one press conference at a time, JD footnotes it like a man trying desperately to justify the plot. The comedy practically writes itself, but Kimmel polishes it until it gleams. He's not mocking their existence. He's mocking the audacity of calling this spectacle governance. Trump speaks in chaos, JD echoes in cliches, and somewhere in between, democracy quietly checks its pulse.
It was a bigly busy day for the president this morning, or maybe it was last night, I don't know. He was in South Korea meeting with the president of China for trade negotiations, which, according to one expert who was there, went very, very well.
I thought it was a great meeting. I think it was a very friendly meeting. It was a good meeting for two very large, powerful countries. Overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12.
Wow.
Every Trump campaign event now feels like deja vu dressed in a fresh slogan. The flags wave, the crowd chants, and the contradictions multiply. Trump calls it energy. Kimmel calls it reruns. When J.D. Vance jumps in to defend it, he looks like a man who just lost an argument with his own reflection. Kimmel doesn't have to raise his voice. The absurdity does all the heavy lifting. There's a scene in every political downfall where someone insists everything's fine. J.D. Vance has made that scene his full-time job. Trump keeps declaring victories over logic, and J.D. applauds like a background actor who missed his cue. Kimmel didn't invent that image. He just froze it long enough for everyone to see it clearly. And as long as this circus of politics continues, Kimmel will be there, armed with wit, evidence, and the nerve to remind America that comedy, at its sharpest, doesn't just entertain. It exposes. He understands what Trump's circle refuses to. The spectacle only works if the audience keeps clapping. But lately, the applause sounds forced, the uneasy rhythm of a crowd realizing the joke stopped being funny long ago. Yet the performer never left the stage. Trump keeps rewriting the same scene, swapping props and faces. But the plot stays the same. Chaos masquerading as charisma. Distraction replacing direction.
Archbishop of Canterbury? But go on.
There are these judges. Judge Boasberg comes to mind. Lots of judges who are trying to basically say the president can't exercise the powers of the presidency. You're an attorney. How do you assess the legal battles here?
Yeah, I bet all those judges are huge fans of Jimmy Kimmel, by the way. But I think, Vince, that, one, we have an appeals process.
Good one, JD. You sure?
Kimmel dismantles the illusion with surgical precision. He doesn't need to shout or embellish. He simply holds up the mirror, and the reflection speaks for itself. What's left isn't a movement but a rerun of delusion dressed as destiny. Every time Trump stumbles through another press spectacle, Kimmel is there to underline the irony, exposing how absurdity has become the new normal and shamelessness, the new standard. This isn't politics anymore. It's performance art gone rogue, a presidency parodying itself. With Trump doubling down on chaos and J.D. Vance playing the obedient understudy who never questions the script. Kimmel doesn't exaggerate because he doesn't need to. The truth already drips with comedy. The tragedy is that the country's stuck watching a drama it never auditioned for. Every scandal, every meltdown, every headline a cliffhanger that never resolves. Trump calls it momentum. Kimmel calls it motion without meaning. And that's where his brilliance lies. He turns political absurdity into punchlines that land harder than policy ever could. His humor isn't a distortion of reality. It's a reflection of how reality has outpaced satire itself. The world has become the setup, and Trump, ever unaware, keeps delivering the punchline, never realizing he's the joke everyone already gets.
Trump visited several countries in Asia, Malaysia, Japan, South Korea. He avoided Vietnam just for old time's sake. But the big event was his sit-down with Xi. Just before their talk, Trump sent China a message. He announced that he's ordered the Pentagon to start testing nuclear weapons again. And that's right. If they won't give him the Peace Prize the regular way, he's going to take it by force. Reporters on Air Force One asked him why he decided to do this and why he decided to do it right before he met with the Chinese. And his answer was basically, I did it because they did it.
With others doing testing, I think it's...
He exposes how the brand of Trump's America has become a franchise of chaos, where loyalty is measured by how loudly you echo the absurd and how eagerly you ignore the obvious. Every contradiction is an opportunity to prove devotion, and every failure is spun as someone else's fault. Kimmel's comedy slices through this haze of blind allegiance with surgical precision. He understands that the moment laughter stops, the danger becomes real. In this landscape, laughter isn't just amusement, it's resistance, the last weapon left when reason ceases to function. The brilliance of Kimmel's approach is that he doesn't try to outshine the chaos. He simply lets it speak for itself. His delivery lands because he treats the absurdity with the only respect it deserves: mockery. That's how you dismantle a cult of personality, not by debating it, but by deflating it. Trump's presidency has evolved into a case study in branding over governing. Every controversy reframed as courage, every mistake rewritten as media sabotage, every misstep blamed on someone else. Kimmel doesn't need to invent punchlines. He just watches the spectacle implode under its own weight. In Trump's America, applause has replaced accountability. Every performance is followed by denial, every contradiction by spin. Truth isn't buried, it's simply overshadowed by louder lies. And yet amid all that chaos, humor persists, not as escape, but as clarity. Kimmel's satire doesn't soften the blow, it sharpens it. He reminds the audience that mockery isn't cruelty when aimed at power. It's survival. In a world where spectacle has replaced substance, where personality masks incompetence, and where chaos is celebrated as charisma, Kimmel proves that comedy can be both mirror and scalpel, revealing what reality tries to hide.